Hey guys, this is Crap Hunter, and welcome to the second part of my Year in Review series. This episode is going to be all focused on War Thunder! Now, before I go on, I'd just like to inform you that if you are into World of Tanks, or you like to watch things in chronological order, then feel free to check out the description, because then that has the link to the first video. The first video was all about World of Tanks, and what progress I made in it, and what plans I have for the future in it. Similar, it's pretty much the same to this, only it's World of Tanks. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do it. I have put the link in the description, as I've just said. And I hope you have a lovely time. As usual, if you like the kind of content, feel free to leave likes, comments, and subscriptions if you wish to continue watching my stuff. If you do, thank you very much. And any and all feedback is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in that video. So, for all you guys out there who just want to watch War Thunder stuff, thanks for sticking around. In this, basically what I'm going to do, if you don't know this, well, what I'm planning to do is, I'm going to be talking about what I've achieved in this year with War Thunder, and what I plan to do in the future, not only about with War Thunder Plains, but War Thunder in recording itself, because although I enjoy playing it, it's different in comparison to World of Tanks, of which I will explain further down the video. But first of all, let's talk about the history. Now, when I first heard of War Thunder, I was properly into World of Tanks, and I was sort of minding my own business, when all of a sudden, I heard rumor from friends that there was a new game coming out, all about planes. And I was thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting, because I'll be honest with you, first I heard it was, I actually found a link which said World of Warplanes, and I thought this was World of Warplanes, and it turned out to be, as you can see, War Thunder. But I'll protest my innocence and state that I thought this was, but it turned out it was some other person's mistake. So, you know, yeah, I suppose this was like this was like back in late 2012, maybe December to late December to late November to early through to December. And yeah, I had heard inklings. I heard about a beta coming up. It was all ooh fancy pantsy. And then I watched a couple videos of War Thunder. I think I watched a couple YouTubers, but one of them I know was Jingles. One of them was Jingles at least. And I kind of watched a number of videos from various sources afterwards, and it was really. I was thinking, oh, this is pretty good, really decent game, and I quite liked the concept that it had, because if you hadn't learnt already by my multiple references, I actually played a lot of flight simulators when I was younger, mostly combat, flying games. First of which was this very old game. Don't know if you ever heard of it. It was called Fighter Squadron, and it was a simple, I think it was Windows 98 game, where you just took command of an assortment of planes, very low textured, of course, and I never really understood the game, so I just messed about in instant action, and I was sucked. Then I got onto more advanced things, known as Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator, which was quite a fun game, very different to Fighter Squadron, and I kind of progressed onwards, and then the final game, which I actually spent if Steam was around back then, I probably would have sunk over 100 hours into that game, which was Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator 3. This was like the last of the flight simulators of World War II that I flew, or I played around with, and it was a very good game, very enjoyable. It was based around Europe in 1943, so basically almost slap bang in the middle of the Second World War, and It was a very good game. I found it to be very enjoyable. So, playing around with that, you could say I had a bit of practice with flying World War II games. So, yeah, I kind of had, in a sense, a higher expectation of many flying games. So when this game came along and started to show off, I was like, oh, I'm interested. You've got good damage modules, not just stiff models that kind of just fall out the sky when you're shot down, like in Combat Flight, but realistic enough that, explosions don't look ridiculously large like they do in some console flying games, which is why I never liked flying console flying games. They're just not realistic enough for me, or at least to my historicalness. So eventually, going on to War Thunder itself, when I started, I really wanted, you guessed it, a Spitfire. I absolutely love these things. I've seen them in real life, and they are gorgeous. I love them. They are currently one of my favorite fighters. I'm gonna say of all time, but there are lots of other fighters I really, really, really like. But this is probably my favorite kind of design. Two 20mm Hispano cannons. I'm going to assume 7.7 is 30 cal. My weapons knowledge isn't perfect, mind, but I'm going to assume 7.7 is 30 cal. And yeah, this is the fighter that won. Well, this not specific fight. So moving on to when I started playing War Thunder. Technically, I didn't start playing War Thunder until 2013. So everything I've done, technically, I might have said this before, technically everything I've done till now is progress. So what I'll do is I'll try and find a way of sparing you the gory details so that way you can at least have the will to live after this video. So basically, I started this game technically twice. The first time was when I tried using a joystick. Now, this was before I realized mouse and keyboard was a much better design. So I tried with a joystick, and I don't know whether it was because I was crap in it, or the fact that the thing was old. Because I haven't played many dogfighting games with a joystick for a long time. So yeah, and plus I'll be honest with you, I got the joystick back in late 90s. It was, put it in this perspective, when there was a game I had called X-Wing, Star Wars X-Wing, which I didn't have a joystick to, and so my parents bought me a joystick. Yes, it's that old. If any of you remember that game. That was a good game. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, that thing is a little old, perhaps a little too old for this game. And so I got a bit frustrated because you can't fly. Even in arcade, you cannot fly the damn thing. So I kind of got a bit frustrated, didn't play the game for a while. And then after about maybe a month perhaps, on an extremely bored day, I decided, right, screw it, done all the things I need to do, let's play some War Thunder. And in the first match I had when I played it, my performance was so much better than I would if I had no joystick. So yeah, that's the second time I began, and that was like in February. So my progress since then has been, I have researched the furthest in Britain. So my main intention for the British line was just going to get the Spitfire. Once I reached the Spitfire, I thought, well, let's keep progressing down towards getting the Typhoon and Tempest. Mainly the Typhoon, to be honest with you, because that's one of the fighters I was also kind of keenly interested in grabbing. As I progressed down towards Tier 5 and Tier 6 on the previous patch, and actually, to be honest with you, it makes sense. If you guys haven't played War Thunder before patch 1.37, the tiering was very much different from the tiering that you've got now. Instead of everything being tiers 1 to 5, it used to be you had a nation's level. So, for example, if you dedicated more time to playing a specific nation, your level within that nation would rise. For example, if I was a level 5 in Britain, but a level 10 in Germany, I would only be able to access up to level 5, or tier 5 of the British aircraft, whereas I could access all the way up to tier 10 for German aircraft. Yeah, I'm going to need to progress a lot before I can use my premium. But yeah, so that's how it used to be, and for the sense of tiering, I was the highest in Britain. I was a tier 8 in Britain before the patch 1.37 came along. And, you know, the British, looking back on it now, the British are a very good nation, very good dogfighters, but when compared with Germany or America, or hell, even well, especially when compared with Russia and I think both Russia and Germany are the big leaguers in the sense of massive guns sort of style. I mean, I know the Yanks have got their 50 cals, but most Russian planes have like 20 mics. But yeah, so I progressed down. Anyway, so yeah, continuing on, I progressed down to tier 8 of Britain. I then, as I was like, I would think for Germany I was tier 7, close to 8, and the same tier for the Americans as well, tier 7. So I made a fair amount of progress between these two nations, and it was about midway through my progress that I discovered dive bombing. Because of the German Stuka dive bomber, I wanted to see what flying them was like. And I actually started to develop an interest in bombing, though originally I was not going to have any bombers. I was like, nope, I'm not getting a bomber. And technically that is still true. I'm not going to be going down the Heinkel line or the JU line or whatever, the Dornier or Arado or anything like that, because I don't feel I could do much in them. But what I will go down are the heavy bombers, the heavy fighter / bomber, the Dornier 217J2, these things. Although they're not really bombers, you could class that one is that the one? No, that is the one that you're going to call death. But anyway, so yeah, bomber wise, that's going to be the largest kind of aircraft you'll ever find me having. That's at least what I thought. Well, to a degree, I'll understand when I go to America. So I progressed down the heavy line. I met up with the Beaufighter eventually. The tier 6. This was originally at tier 6, and this thing was, oh jeez, was she tier 7? No, she was tier 6. She was tier 6, and she was a good bomber. She was good, very good. And obviously when I got the Broken Fighter Mark 10, or as I should say, Beaufighter, she just dominated. And if any of you guys haven't heard about the Broken Fighter's reputation, excuse me, basically when they talk about this thing as Broken Fighter, the model that they've based this on isn't 100% accurate. So this thing will take unprecedented amounts of damage and still keep going. She is absolutely just crazy, and the armament she has as well makes her she is effectively a reaper of airplanes, of any kind of airplanes. She has 6 7.7mm Browning machine guns. She has 4 20mm Hispano cannons and a 7.7mm turreted Browning machine gun at the rear. So she, literally, when you see this thing in the air, you know that if you've got a good pilot behind it, you're gonna rip enemy planes apart so easy. It's frightening, really. And the most common way to kill a Beaufighter is not to see it on fire going down in a blaze of glory. It's normally the pilot with a bullet hole in the middle of his head. It's just, you kill the pilot, problem solved, but you gotta kill the pilot. You can't shoot the thing down. So yeah, I would say my this is one of my favorite sort of heavy fighters, because she's not maneuverable, very maneuverable, but she can kick ass and take names so well. And for a while, that's kind of how it was. I just went down the fighter line, used fighters only, dabbled in Russia, and got a heavy fighter, which dabbled in Russia, but not really that interested in Russia. Didn't really find much enjoyment out of flying them. Went down the Yanks line and was aiming to once again go down the American fighter line, whilst also comparing between the two lines, which type of American fighter was better, the American Army ones or the American Navy ones, which both fighters have their sort of varying goods and bad sides to them. But one of the, pardon me. But as I progressed down, I bumped into one of I would say the beginning of what turned out to be one of the greatest surprises I've ever had in this game. This was the beginning, I would say, the A20G30. Quite similar to the Beaufighter in the sense that she's not as good in like survivability, but she most certainly can make a good impact into the field, especially since she can carry bombs, unlike the Beaufighter. You have like a limited armament of bombs. Like you can have either 4 500-pounder bombs or 12 114mm bazookas. But I just prefer to have the bombs because not only can you shoot enemy fighters down, you can also blitz their base, which I find to be a useful, very useful combination. But as I progressed, pardon me, down the American tech tree, I finally got into possession of one of these, and this is one of the biggest surprises I had in my with my War Thunder in my War Thunder career, was I actually fell in love with this bomber. This is the B-25J Mitchell, and I don't know how many other versions there are, but I will be having them all. Oh, there's only one. Oh, there's only one more version of this thing. I feel so sad. Yes, this is basically one of my absolute favorite designs of American bombers. I'm one of the weird... I must be a weird person because I don't really like specific things in America. I don't like the American P-51. Like, it's a fighter, it does the job, but I don't find it interesting. But the B-25J or the P-47 Thunderbolt, I absolutely adore. Those two are my favorite parts of American air power. This thing is an absolute dream to fly, and she looks absolutely gorgeous. I will say that this is one of my favorite American bombers of all time. Lancaster, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to say this, it almost beats the Lancaster. I know a fair amount of you guys out there be like, "Oh, shame on you, Crab Hunter. You say you say you love British aircraft." I do, I really do, but come on, look at that sexy design. The twin engines. Obviously that's just in-game things, but if that was in real life, the artwork, the positioning, the 50 cal machine guns, the design of the whole aircraft, I really like it, and I just smile every time I see it. If I see this thing in real life, I'm gonna be like, ha ha ha, like a fan of One Direction will be like. I'll just squeak because it looks really, really nice. Oh, I just love this aircraft design, and bombing in it, I don't bomb properly. I'll be honest with you. I'll say that right now. I am not a bomber. I'm not the person who flies about 60 miles up into the atmosphere looking down on my target. I'm literally a fighter in this thing. And maybe that's kind of how I treat medium bombers. Maybe that's how I see them since Doolittle's operation. But if this thing in real life can be treated like a fighter, you sure as hell can try and treat this thing like a fighter, at least in arcade. But maybe you could do this in historical. I've yet to try it. But yeah, so the last big surprise of, well, at the moment, the last big surprise at the moment of War Thunder is my amazing, well, my liking and almost loving of these bombers here. I almost said fighter as well. But yeah, one of my favorite bombers in this game thus far. So, now that I've rambled on enough about my past in this game, and hopefully you still are alive and ticking and not bored stiff, let's talk about the future of this. Now, I'm going to kind of talk about two kind of futures. The first future is about my whether or not I'll record it enough for YouTube, and the other one is actually in-game. So I'll talk about the in-game first. For the Americans, I'm probably not going to progress too far down the American bomber line. Oh, is that a bit... Oh, no, that's just turreted. Never mind. I thought that was a... Is that a medium? No, that's a heavy. Ow. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to progress down the American bomber line until the B-25J-20, and then I'm going to stop, because I don't get... The B-17 must be, it's apparently a fancy pants bomber, and it must be all nice and everything, but I really don't find them as interesting as perhaps many other people are. Sorry, B-17 lovers out there, but I don't really find them that interesting. For the American fighter line, I am going to progress down towards the American jet. Especially, I'm actually finding an interest in this American 9F2 Panther. These things are looking very nice. The design, at least, if we have a little customization look. Bombity bomb bomb bombity bomb 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 bomb. There we go. I like the design of this. I don't know why. This specific design looks nice. The color works well. It sounds stupid, I know, going for a plane based on its looks, but come on, wouldn't you? Isn't that what most forms of planes out there? It's not like, oh, it's a historically accurate jet engine that I really like. I like the look of this plane. that's my historical knowledge towards the jet age, towards the jet age. And to be honest with you, aircraft, I have bugger all idea. I have no idea half the time with American aircraft, aircraft of any sort. I can recognize the Yanks from the British and the Japs from the Germans, so that's easy enough. But whether or not I have any sort of major historical interest in them, not so much. I will go, as I said, I will go down the American fighting line. Might even try and get a Sabre at some point, but this is like way down the line. Possibly not going to reach it even at next year, unless I really start dedicating some time to this game. So the Americans, mainly fighters, no bombers, just quite simple sort of stuff like that. For Deutschland, of course, I'm going down the German fighter line. Probably going to lose interest as I get towards the jets, but I'm most certainly going to try and get a Focke-Wulf at some point. I technically already have a Focke-Wulf, but that's a premium, so I'm not counting it. And I will get one of these. Ooh, yes, I will be getting one of... I'll be getting both of these, to be honest with you, because that is nice. Yes, 75mm worth of death in the air. I think I know what I'm going to be doing with that. Oh, it'd be lovely to bump into a B-17. Hey, B-17! Toosh! Bye, B-17! So yeah, I'll be going down this line here to get that. I will also be continuing the German heavy fighter tech tree as well. Definitely going to be enjoying doing that. You get 2 of them. Shit. Yeah, so I'll be progressing down the line towards getting the higher things. I will possibly be getting this. That is one of the few jet fighters of Germany that I will be wanting to get. Simply because it is one of the few aircraft that I would like to fly. One of the rare jets that I would like to fly. It's not only aesthetically pleasing, but in the sense that I like German stuff. One of the only few aircraft I will want to get because of its historical value. That's what I do know. But mostly it will be a case of no bombers. Pretty much everything here is what I have interested in. I'm not going for the ITIs. I think I'm going to dump the ITIs. I think I've already dumped them. So unless I fancy being, an ITI once more, probably never going to go near those things again. But still, not too bad. These things are looking forward to going down this line at least. For Russia, not that much interest in them. I don't know why. I just don't really find them at all interesting. I think the most I will probably go down is possibly to get the IL-2M, but that's pushing it at best. The IL-2M, the IL-2 Sturmovik is one of the only Russian aircraft which I actually like. Apart from that, I don't really like any of the other. I mean, I'm not saying this because I've been killed by them a lot, though admittedly I have been killed by them a lot. It's just I don't really find them to be that interesting at this moment in time. It kind of just feels like to me it all feels like they're just KV-1S Mark 1, KV-1S Mark 2, KV-1S Mark 3. Basically big guns, not much armor, and big guns, very heavy, and not that pretty. I'm not a big fan of Russian aircraft. I know very little about it, and I don't really find them to be that enjoyable to fly, so possibly not going to do much, if anything, with this tech tree. For the British, naturally we're going to go down the British line towards getting the Spitfires and the Tempest and the Vampire. I will be getting the Vampire, hopefully sooner than many of these others, but still, the Vampire is a nice British aircraft that looks pretty nice. Obviously, we're going down the heavy line. That I will be getting. That is a classic fighter. The Mosquito. Oh, I remember this one. I don't think I've ever seen it in real life, but I remember going to Dover, where there's like a thing about a Mosquito pilot. Really nice place, Dover. Dover Castle. Anyway, so yes, most certainly going to be going to get that one, and I will most certainly be going down the tech tree to getting the last of the Spitfires as well. Very much looking forward to getting them. I just love them, really. They're just awesome. And then I'm also going to be getting the Tempest as well, which will be very nice indeed. These fighters, I don't know too much about the Tempest, but I know they were a replacement for the Typhoon, so things should be quite interesting for those that kind of aircraft. Once again, not going to be touching bombers. I appreciate the Lancaster is a classic bomber design, but I don't find anything interesting on actual bombing. If I ever fancied it, I possibly may. I think this would be one of the only few nations where I would go down that line, but I really wouldn't want to go down the line. I don't really want to go down the bomber line. If I really don't have any other choice, and probably I won't, so sorry guys. Finally, for the Japs, I will say the Japanese are one of the few surprises. They were another surprise. They are surprisingly good fighters, though I probably won't spend as much time with them as I would maybe Germany, Britain, or America. But I will make a slow and steady pace. Naturally, I am going to go down the Japanese line of aircraft. Try and get the Ki-102 Otsu, and get the heavy fighters. I will also try and get the B-7A2 because it is a nice... Is it just a bomb? Possibly? Yeah, probably. Probably going to be focusing on this, perhaps. Or maybe just the D-3A1. That probably is the only dive bomber which has a higher powerful... a more powerful dive... a more powerful bomb load. But either way, I'll try and... I think only it's going to be a fighter one and a heavy fighter one, and probably limited progress with the B5s and B7s. Once again, no bombing. So yeah, mainly it's going to be a fighter slash dog. It's going to be a fighting slash small cases of bombing, and if they are, they're going to be dive bombing most certainly. So yes, so that's the progress I'm going to be making with the War Thunder stuff. So, the future of War Thunder in the eyes of YouTube. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because over the last few months, it's steadily becoming a bigger and bigger issue. Although I enjoy playing this game, I don't enjoy it enough to be able to sort of stick with it out of recording it for YouTube. I mean, the only times I ever play this game now is to record for YouTube, and when I do it, I don't think, yeah, this is going to be great, I'll play some War Thunder. It's more like, yeah, I haven't made a War Thunder video in a time, I need to go make one. You know? You can see where, and I'm a little bit concerned, well, I'm sort of concerned about I don't want to sort of seem like I don't care when I'm playing it, and of course, the other problem is when I'm recording and I'm actually playing it, I either go really silent or I mumble some really retarded crap simply because I'm focusing on playing the game. So what I'm thinking of doing over the course of next year is I'm going to try and invest some time into this game. Most certainly, I'm going to try and see if I can make some, hopefully I know a few people who play this game, and we'll sort of do some, maybe do some platoon sessions, and maybe that might help pique my interest in getting myself back into War Thunder. Who knows? But what will happen in the sense of recording is I may record an episode once a month, maybe around at least once a month, because and probably focus more other content more than this one. And then maybe if the game picks itself up again, if I start getting a higher interest, then I'll sort of start uploading it more often. I'll most certainly be uploading it. I'll be certainly going to be record when the patch comes out where they introduce armored warfare, because it was one of the other things that piqued my interest of this game, was like, ooh, we're going to see Tigers now, and accurate Tigers, not the Tigers you see in World of Tanks with massively long barrels and an L56 that does bugger all. It actually could do something in this game, sort of deal. So I was going to kind of focus a bit more on that, but I thought if I let you guys know, because there are. Hopefully, this won't piss off too many War Thunder fans, if there are any War Thunder fans in my community. But I thought it would probably be better to tell you guys rather than just you subtly notice that I'm not doing it as much. And plus, also, I'm an amateur YouTuber, so I thought being honesty is it's a good idea rather than just lie to your team, lie to your subscribers. And I don't think that's a cool thing to do. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Hopefully, I haven't bored you to tears with the amount of talking that I've been doing, and in the new year there will be an action video. I'm gonna guarantee you that. Yes, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great and happy new year, and I hope whatever kind of resolutions you've made, you can achieve them in this day and age where people talk about achieving a lot. Yeah, so have a great new year, guys. I will catch you in the new year. This is Crap Hunter. Oh, almost forgot. Now, if you like this kind of content, feel free to let me know by clicking on the like button, clicking on the subscription button, and typing in the comments section down below. If you have any feedback, it is always greatly appreciated. As I said, I am still an amateur YouTuber. I've been doing this thing for over a year now, but I'm always up for feedback. If you're a professional YouTuber yourself, or you know a few tricks of the trade, or if you've been through the same problem that I've been through, and you went through a phase where you weren't really sure whether you wanted to continue with War Thunder, but now you find yourself really enjoying it, then feel free to let me know in that feedback. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a happy new year, and I will see you next time.